Hi, my name is Samantha. Thanks for joining me today. In today's video, we're going to be talking about keychain fobs. Let's get into the video. To make the key fobs, what we're going to need is a piece of fabric, a piece of interfacing, and key fob hardware. To make a smaller key fob, you will need 8 inches by 4 inches. To make a larger key fob, you will need 12 inches by 4 inches. The interfacing will be the same length as the piece of fabric, but only 2 inches wide. The first thing we'll need to do is go to our iron and fold our fabric in half, wrong sides facing, and then open it up and fold each side inwards towards the center. Once we've done that, we now know that this section right here is the middle 2 inches, which will allow us to place our interfacing directly in the middle, and it will perfectly line up. Something that I've learned in test trials is 1, order the specialty clamp. This makes a world of difference. Look at my first attempt. It's not centered. It's way off to the side. It's not even clamped down all the way. This was using the method of putting a piece of fabric to protect the hardware and then using a regular wrench, a regular pair of pliers. You can tell the difference. Also, this one I used 4 inches of interfacing versus 2. I've already fused 4 inches to this piece, so I'm going to go ahead and use this. I'm not going to let it go to waste, but 4 inches is definitely way too much. You only need 2. I'm going to go to the iron and fold the pieces of fabric as I showed you and add the interfacing, and then I'll be back. Now that our pieces have been ironed and interfacing attached, I have folded them in the same manner that I showed you. See, we have the interfacing on the inside. The next side's folded over, and it laid flat. So something interesting I found while experimenting and making the different key fobs is that if you put a center slit in your interfacing, so my interfacing is 2 pieces, 6 inches, 6 inches, rather than one 12-inch piece, your key fob will lay flatter. See how this key fob lays flatter than this key fob? It's very subtle, but it does make a difference, a positive difference. So the next step is to do our top stitching. The first set of stitches that we will do are to make sure that the strap doesn't fall apart. The next set of stitches are optional and decorative. This is the simplest way to make the key fob. It's just 2 straight stitch lines down each side. Here are some examples of embellishing. You can embellish in coordinating thread or in a subtle thread. Before we start sewing, you need to decide what is going to be your top side. See how there's a top side and an inside? On some fabrics it doesn't matter, but on others, see on this fabric, you can see icons, versus this fabric, it doesn't make a difference. So this key fob, I think it would be prettier to have the hearts show, that this be the exterior. So I want to sew on this side. For this key fob, I want to sew on this side. So the opening on this one's on the left, but the opening on this one's on the right. It doesn't really matter if the opening's on the left or the right because we're sewing on both ends. And on these 3 fabrics, it doesn't make a difference. So these 2 are the ones that I need to be aware of and sew on this top side. Let's go to the sewing machine. I have my sewing machine threaded with white thread, and I am going to adjust my needle all the way to the right. I'm going to make sure that I'm sewing on the side I want to be the top, using a leader piece. The leader piece just makes it so that you don't have to manually hold the bobbin and the top thread. Just throw it on the back side. I'm going to get this loaded in. There's no need to backstitch because the top stitches will be stuck in the Key Fob hardware. Just take your time, go slow. You can increase your stitch length if you'd like. I have mine set at 2.5. Be sure to remove your pins or clips whenever you need to. You can stop sewing, cut your thread, and start again over here, or just go across. Need one more stitch. And then sew down. I'm going to cut this thread. And I'm going to sew across. Sewing at the top of each just allows for the foam to be squished a little bit more so that when we go to fold it and stick it in the hardware, it's a little easier. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. It's up to you. So we could be done right now and just stick this in the hardware, or we can add some decorative stitches. This is where you get to use the fun stitches on your machine. I want to use this stitch right here. I think it's really fun. Also, a positive about using the 1-inch Key Fob hardware and then sewing 2 tight seams is that my presser foot magically falls right in between the stitches, which makes it easier to add this decorative stitch. How fun is that? Trim our threads. So now sometimes it gets a little wonky on the top. So what we're going to do, look how easy it folds in half. This one has 2 pieces of interfacing that's split down the middle. makes it so easy to fold in half. I'm going to just cut this and make sure it's perfectly straight. Now we can go stick this in our hardware. To use the Key Fob hardware, what we're going to want to do is put our insides touching. If it's directional, find our front. Place the prongs to the back. We want to try and get it lined up as nicely as possible, as pushed far back and as centered as possible. You can take the ring off if you want to, makes it a little easier, but then you have to deal with putting it back on. So it is up to you. I'm just going to hold it. Now I'm going to clamp it, but not all the way. All right, I just clamped it down a little. I'm going to check, make sure I'm centered. Now I can clamp it the rest of the way. These clamps or this pair of pliers is so much easier to use than just a regular pair of pliers. And the silicone, make sure that you don't damage your hardware. Like, see how this one has some scratches on it? Look how cute that is. I'm going to make the rest of them and show you what they look like. Here are the key fobs that I made today. These are the 5 styles that will be available in my Etsy shop. A curved middle, tire track, crazy cues, squares, and straight lines. I'll have them available in a variety of colors, or you can make them yourself. If you want to take your keychain to the next level, vehicle indicators will be available on my Etsy shop. All you need to do is select your vehicle, select your color vinyl option, get your keychain, and add it on. Now you know these are your tractor keys. If you don't like the icons I have selected, please let me know. Let's get the perfect icon for you. If you don't like the vinyl color option, let me know. Let's get the perfect color for you. Here's an idea of a bunch of different color options and different styles mixed together. Order yours today. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial and that you have plenty of key fobs to give as gifts to your friends and family. Have a great day. Bye-bye.